possible that living in the 21st century with a great education system and free media, etc., why is it that we've lost our own values of the Enlightenment, not only in the United States of America, also in Europe, and that we are now into a kind of discussion, you know, what is the best government model, etc., etc. We lost a lot of credibility. Why?
We lost a lot, yes. I hope we did not lose forever. And I really hope that...
No, but why did we lose it?
Because the elite lost.
Which elite? Intellectual elite?
Political elites, intellectual elites probably, because maybe the new technology introduced a new way of making the difference between truth and fake.
But we lost our values of the Enlightenment not a decade ago.
I'm not so sure, because one thing which strikes me, even today, the fact that our friend, for example, claims himself of Voltaire and Leibniz. This is very interesting. How the representative of a great country living under autocracy finds the need to claim faithfulness to Voltaire and Leibniz. This is a proof that we did not completely lost.
well,
not thinking of Ipsos.
Yeah.
Voltaire, Leibniz, and Ipsos.
With my all respect for you as a French philosopher, you know, we have complete translation of Voltaire's works in Chinese. I myself read French. If his admiration for China, because China is not autocracy. Europe at that time was 100% autocracy. So he looked to China. The 30-year war, Germanic population lost 1/3 of its population. He looked at China as the world's largest peaceful, unified empire. That's why he said we should look to China. That's the ideal. We have to be honest with Enlightenment. If you look at Leibniz, the anecdote goes in, he said, I want to get each and every information about China. He said, please come to my office. We have knowledge about China. And he put a stick on his office, China Study Center.
This was the China of the time of Leibniz. What about the China of the time of today?
Today is much better. It's the best out of China, of course. You have to ask Chinese. Yeah. With all the opinions.
I want to bring in Bill Fallon. Bill, speak your mind.
Again, too many things, too rich a discussion. And I'm going to break my own rule here and talk about China. Only two things. It's very, very clear that the government of China puts a top priority on security and stability as the fundamental prerequisite for continuing its existence of its political system. It is fundamentally anathema to me that a nation with a responsibility for 1.3 or 1.4 billion people will deny its people the opportunity to listen, to hear things, not to act. The states will make rules all over the world to govern the actions of their citizens, but to deny the citizens the opportunity to listen to other opinions and ideas, which is a reality today in China, is fundamentally different than this Western humanism that we are called to at least discuss. So I'm sorry, but that's just my view. So when you restrict the ability of people to actually hear other ideas and to make their own minds, make up their own minds, what's good, what's not, then we have a problem from our view. But I'd like to go back to, let me get off that, back to ourselves. We share some fundamental values and aspirations with Western, we, in this case, the U.S. So what to do? I think that different than what you proposed a few minutes ago, one of our fundamental problems is that we, in Western democracies, are almost spending too much time in the detail of who has power, who should be in charge, how do I get myself in a position to lead and to, I think...
Damn, he talks so slow. My God.
How is it possible that living in the 21st century with a great education system and great leader, your president, right? Somebody who can give a speech for 3 hours and 25 minutes and at least 1,000 people are listening to him. That's not possible here anymore. With the compliments of the White House, who are in retreat, they give all the space to the world of China. So will the world of China make a difference if China will be the new superpower on this planet?
Okay. Actually,
come with some good
we
news.
already are.
Weiwei.
Now, when you talk about this uncertainty about the power in the West, it indeed has to do with the shift of power in the world from the West to the rest, notably China. And if we talk about the power in terms of soft power and hard power, what you see is clearly what I call a shift, a paradigm shift from the so-called democracy versus autocracy to good governance versus bad governance. That's what China advocates. Good governance can take the form of Western political system. There are some cases, not always. Good governance can also take the form of non-Western political system. Chinese is an example, where many problems, but overwhelmingly speaking, it's far more positive than negative. Likewise, bad governance can take the form of the Western political system. This is crucial. I can give you 100 examples. And then bad governance, of course, can also take the non-Western political system. Behind this is a shifting hard power. From our study and calculation, and from also study of certain international organizations, China is already the largest economy in terms of purchasing power parity. We have created the world's largest middle class. We export most tourism than other countries, even combined. We have created largest property, most Chinese have properties. We have created world's largest foreign exchange reserve. Of course, these are economic powers which can have influence. And this reminds me of my debate with Professor Fukuyama, the author of The End of History, exactly 6.5 years ago, when Egyptian Spring occurred. He said to a large audience, China may also experience Arab Spring. I said, no chance. I said, on the other hand, be aware. I think Arab Spring will become Arab Winter. I checked, I may be the first intellectual in the world to make this comment. I was with Brussels think tanks last year. I said, if only European Brussels could heed to the, with my Chinese modesty, or humble advice, you could have avoided this terrible refugee crisis. 1.5 million people a year, refugees, escape from broken homeland to Europe. We could have avoided. And secondly, I also made another prediction 6.5 years ago. I said the United States and China both needed political reforms. But in the case of China, small reforms have been going on all the time in the political system. We fix problems here and there. But I said, the problem is the United States. Your political system was a product of pre-industrial era. And I made a forecast. I said, without significant, substantial political reform, my concern is, in your next elections, you will produce a leader worse off than George W. Bush.
That's
So then,
Yeah.
so it was you.
I guess China don't like Trump, huh? Or 3 years ago, that was still Biden, I guess. I don't know when this was from. 2000. I don't know. Blick, Christ, Donny Faith SC, Severix, Caradini, Namdewibs, Tapsuin Cola 420 with 6 years. Feels okay, man, he says. Thank you very much, sir.
May I just
Yeah.
talk here about
Great.
about the oppressed Muslim minority? So don't tell me that everybody is fine. There is an oppressed minority in China. And then I want to bring up something else here with it, in terms of terrible things that are happening today, like in Syria. And it's what is happening to the Rohingya Muslims. And the way I look at it is, I thought it was never again. And to me, never again meant a Muslim or a Christian or Jewish or Yazidis or black or white or any color. But today we are seeing a genocide. And I don't see, China has also quite a lot of influence in a place like Burma, like Myanmar. Apart from, I don't want to even talk about North Korea, but I don't see anybody doing anything for the Muslims in Myanmar or the Muslims in China.
Let me answer you this question first.
Yeah, no, because I do believe it's important, because you know that you know. Because I do believe we go in a conversation in which you are saying how good you are, we're saying that you're not very good. But in a certain way, the problem is that part of the Western democracy's also problem today is that we lost curiosity on the others. Obviously, China's legitimacy is not based on caution only. And if we're not seeing this, we're basically playing a game. But on the other side, I do believe what you're also giving is a totally uncritical story, because every political regime is successful under certain conditions and not others. I do believe one of the biggest problems that we have, we forgot what are the real advantages of democracy. The real advantage of democracy is not simply rights, but this is that when people are disappointed, you're giving them a mechanism through which they can react. Democracy is not famous for doing the right things, but democracy is famous for changing the governments that people don't like without violence. My question is the following. The Chinese system at the moment, in my view, works fine based on an incredibly important economic performance. How strong is the system if economic performance is not there? So if we want to be serious, we should be open to the vulnerability of both regimes, because otherwise we go in a rhetorical story, which probably good opera performance, but it is not helping us more. And just on Bernard-Henri Lévy, I do believe that the Spanish government should be very happy that you went to Kurdish regions and didn't end up in Catalonia at the same moment.
Could I answer? Yeah.
Funny!